Right, back live with you tonight here on In Focus, and thanks for staying on. Civil society groups are challenging a government's decision to allow Karpowership the opportunity to amend its strategic environmental assessment for the Port of Richards Bay. They argue that the environmental impact process is being abused and the departments of energy and environment are not allowing adequate public participation in the process. For more on this, we are now joined by Desmond, the coordinator at South Durban Community Environmental Alliance. Desmond, good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on tonight. The company is saying they secured this permission to refile using the proper regulatory framework and processes. Why are you challenging this process?
Good evening to the listeners. I think the process, we know from the outset that the process has been flawed. There's been a lack of consultation. There's been a lack of community engagement by Karpowership and its consultants. And we brought it to the attention quite some time back when this first was mooted that the Department of Minerals and Energy was going to sign a contract to place these Karpowerships into our harbors, 3 harbors. One of them was Saldanha Bay, the other one was Kucha, and the third one is Richards Bay. And so at that very early stage, we were concerned about the placing of these into the many harbors of South Africa, those 3 harbors in particular. And consultation was very poor. We've raised this with the Minister, with the Department of Minerals and Energy, but also with the Department of Environmental Affairs. Yeah. Well, ultimately, we'll have to ensure that public participation, which is the cornerstone of this democracy in South Africa that we all enjoy, that we're all equal before the law. What Karpowership wants to do is subvert the law and ensure that they get the shortcuts. And this has been brought to the attention of the department through the Ministry of Department of Environmental Affairs and Agriculture. Yeah. And it's been turned down once before. So it's nothing new. Yes. And so Karpowership has come back and try to do the very same thing that was turned down in the initial stages. There's been no consultation. We've asked for information around the Karpowership. We know that the deal is going to cost the country 218 billion rand, which is a lot of money that we don't have at this present moment in time. Yeah. It means we're going to have to take more loans, and this will eventually come and affect us. But more critically to the whole thing is the damage and destruction they do. It's going to push up the cost of electricity to ordinary people. We know that the cost of electricity at the moment is R1.50 per kilowatt. And the big corporations are paying something like about 12 cents per kilowatt. Yeah. And this will exceed that cost that we're currently paying, and which is quite high. People are feeling the pinch already. We know that in Durban, the last couple of months, people have been protesting about the increased cost of the tariffs, which is mostly around the electricity tariffs. This is something that's going to really affect a lot of people. Yeah. And Karpowership should not get away with the shortcut. Yeah. All that information should be revealed upfront to the public in this country. Deserve to know this.
They claim to say that there is nothing new that they would be reporting on. In fact, all their reports have been clearly marked for the attention of interested and affected parties, and these have been made available. As far as they are concerned, they have explicitly provided this information to all who would be affected.
Well, if that is the case, then they should be open about it. I mean, we've been waiting for all this here. For the information. But more critically, they applied for condemnation. Yeah. That they responded very late, and they're trying to subvert that law. Yeah. Now, condemnation means you have to apply for it. You have to give the other side, affected parties, the information so that we can determine whether that must proceed or not. Yeah. And we believe certainly that the environmental impact assessments, because of the condemnation, must start from scratch.
All right.
like anybody else.
Why do you believe they didn't comply with the legal timeframes? Because they believe they did, and they believe they are within their rights, according to regulations, to apply for a generic environmental management program, but also they need to conclude some offset agreements with the KwaZulu-Natal Conservation Authority.
Well, I certainly agree with the department when the Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries that has determined that they did not comply within a specific time frame. You know, you cannot leave it to go on for months on end and then come back and say you complied. Then they must show us the proof that they did comply, and we are ready to accept that information and receive it. But you cannot say verbally, make a verbal thing that you have complied with it. In law, everything has to be in writing. Why are they not ensuring that that information is accessible to us and our legal team so we can ponder over it and decide how we proceed forward? But they're not making that information available. We certainly are of the fear that the reason they're not making it available, they don't want to uncover why this process should be scrapped from the beginning, why this process should not be allowed to go through, why this process is not an answer to a just energy transition of the country as a whole. Yeah. And that this will impact even further and worse than anything else. We know that Karpowership will release methane, which is a well-known chemical that when released into the air is even more worse than CO2 emissions. So climate change that we are currently facing and currently experiencing in Cape Town at this present moment in time, we're experiencing KZN in 2021. We certainly believe that this could be a recipe for a disaster, and that is why everything has to be provided. So a determination must be made in a way that is fair, that ensures that all parties get access to the information, including people who have called out on this here. And I allude to the scientists who understand about methane, but also understand Karpowership. We also have experiences from our colleagues in other parts of the world where Karpowership has been placed and the amount of destruction it leaves behind. Fishermen are already saying they do not want Karpowership in the Richards Bay Harbor. And the reason behind it, at this present moment in time, people are taking on food to put on the table for their families. And Karpowership will destroy all that. So
why would the environmental regulator be on their side? At least in KwaZulu-Natal, it seems they're talking to them on some kind of agreement.
Well, look, our government in the province is eager to provide jobs, and they think that Karpowership will provide jobs. We are of the opinion Karpowership is not going to provide jobs because it's got a certain skill that they're going to bring with them from overseas, from their bases overseas, to bring them here. So they're not going to create jobs. Secondly, they believe that there's going to be taxes paid. While most of these contracts and deals that are made are usually made offshore, and all the money gets transferred into the international arena. And I talk about the London Stock Exchange, the New York Stock Exchange, or even the stock exchange in those countries of origin. So people are not going to benefit out of it. The energy crisis is not going to be sorted out with Karpowership. The climate crisis is not going to be arrested with the advent of Karpowership. What we believe is huge profits are going to be made yet at the expense of the majority of people. And people in the rural areas do not have access to energy already. Karpowership is not going to provide access to energy for the rural poor, all the people that live in the rural areas of Matuba, Richards Bay, Mpangeni, Shishnui, Ulundi, Stanger, and all those areas up there in the north of Durban, where already people have a crisis with energy and they have more blackouts than anything else. Karpowership is going to be there. It's going to place a burden on people in this country. Even the big corporations that use a lot of energy are wanting to shift away, wanting to provide their own energy at the moment in time, because they believe that even if Karpowership comes along, it's going to make it so difficult. And if they do benefit out of it, then the citizens of this country are going to pay those high tariffs, because when the determination is made by NERSA, the National Energy Regulator, they usually come to the people who use the least energy in this country and put a huge tax and a huge recovery plan to get the money from ordinary people, the working class, the poor of this country. And so Karpowership for us is not the response to the climate crisis. It's not a response to the energy crisis. It's not a response to deal with energy poverty that people are experiencing at this current moment in time.
It seems Cabinet, Desmond, to the question of the cost has come up with another solution here of cutting the agreement from 20 years to 5 years. Dr. Hosienzo Ramokhupa reiterating this particular view in a briefing recently where he says, well, the conversations are currently ongoing. How do you feel about that? Because, 1,220 megawatts of power is a stage there of load shedding, certainly.
In our experiences in the country, whenever power is needed, our experience is that the country doesn't examine this with a fine-tooth comb. They don't look over all and check the dots and cross the E and check every single thing. These contracts are signed. If the minister is really clear about this, then he should look at his counterparts and request the counterparts that where Karpowership has been placed to get all the responses and answers, and how Karpowership has decimated those communities and increased poverty has happened in those countries. And I think he needs to understand that you cannot have one with not looking at the other. Karpowership is a short-term, it might be a short-term answer, but in the long term, the destruction it leaves behind, we don't have the funds to repair the ocean. And even if you had the money, you wouldn't be able to repair the ocean that we have. So for us as people who are experienced, who are talking to people all over the world, where Karpowership has been placed and what they leave behind is very critical and important. The 5-term contracts, we know, we warned the government about the long-term development and building of Medupi and Kusile. When they built the third and fourth biggest coal-fired power station, we said, taking those loans, locking the society in South Africa into long-term suffering and energy poverty. And we were on the button with that because now we are still owing the World Bank billions of rands to pay back and large amounts of interest. And once again, Karpowership ain't going to come cheap. It means us taking more loans. Why should the burden be placed on the people of this country who are already suffering from blackouts and all that and those load shedding and all these loans that we got to pay for? If one looks at the increases granted over the years for energy in this country since 2005, and I placed it on record just this week with the National Energy Regulator, that nearly 200% increase. In which part of the world do you get a 200% increase since 2005 that the ordinary man in the street has to pay to keep the lights on? And we feel that it's time to really consult with society as a whole, take the people along. If it's the government for the people, by the people, then take us along. Let us work with you. Let us see what energy needs are best for the country and what is affordable energy. What is affordable energy that takes poor people, that doesn't get the energy needs cut off like Soweto, where millions of people have had their electricity cut off. And in other parts, in KZN, we have the same problem. And I'm sure in other parts of the country, you have the same problem. Government needs to listen to the people of this country. It needs to talk to the people of this country. The masses of this country cannot be the ones that pay the price and continue to live in poor and blackouts all the time just because government's plans that they develop is done behind closed doors. It's not open and transparent, and that the people pay the price. What we want to see, though, we need an energy plan.
Yes.
Make no mistake about it.
Yes.
We need an energy plan that doesn't harm the environment.
Yeah.
We need an energy plan that creates jobs.
Yeah.
We need an energy plan that takes everybody along. So those who are suffering, who do not have access to electricity at this present moment in time, whatever energy plan we develop jointly with society as a whole must be an energy plan that will uplift people and provide energy to them, especially those people that are waiting after 30 years of democracy. How much longer must they wait to get energy? And Karpowership is going to be something that will not provide that. And I think that is the gist of the whole matter. What we require, what is the solution? The solution definitely is working in other parts of Africa. It works in South Africa. I don't know why we do not go to the solution that's there, ready, available, create millions of jobs, and it's owned by the people. That's the sort of electricity we need, not us binding ourselves into long-term contracts and huge billions of rands of South African money that can go for development of our people, improve the quality of life of our people, improve housing that is much needed, and energy. Use that money for that, but don't take the money and lock us into a contract when people are not going to get the energy that is promised by Karpowership. It will never happen, and I feel that we're going down the wrong road. This has been canvassed, incidentally, by all the communities in Zululand. They are of the very same opinion. I've been working the last 2 years, every month in Zululand, in all the rooms of there, and people are of the opinion that you need another energy mix. You need an energy that's accessible, that is clean, that's not harmful, that is very affordable, and that can only be one thing, and one thing only. It's renewable energy. It works. It is in South Africa. It's in Morocco. It's in Tunisia. It's in Egypt. It's been sold. That energy has been sold to Europe. They're making money out of it. Why can't we in South Africa? We really want to deal with the unemployment crisis in South Africa. We really want to deal with the crisis of the energy. Then that's the route to go to. And we are ready to meet with government any day, any time, to talk to them, because we believe that and this is not something we haven't placed at government's doorsteps. We have through the planning.
No, certainly, and we have raised this with them as well, and government has said, well, they are currently looking at the appeals process. They are the appeals authority, so could not come on board. But Desmond, we're out of time. Let me thank you very much for coming on and certainly raising those issues there. That's the South Durban Community Environmental Alliance Coordinator, Desmond Dessa.